Hi, this is Matt from tracymatt.co.uk and for unboxings.com. Today we have the Acer M900, courtesy of our friends over at Clove Technology. The M900 being one of the new handsets, obviously from Acer. About 3 or 4 handsets being released in quick succession from Acer, so obviously quite busy at the moment. So we thought we'd just do a regular unbox before we go ahead and do our review. So the handset itself is on top. Behind this cover, and we remove the handset. As you can see, a fairly large handset. We'll look at that in a bit more detail in just a second. Then there's a white box inside and our accessories. So we have a UK 3-pin plug, a wired headset, which is a USB style, mini USB style on one end. There's an inline microphone with a push button and a volume control wheel. And then we have the headphones themselves, which kind of look okay, obviously branded as Acer. They don't look too bad, they're quite weighty. I'll comment on those when it comes to the review. We then have the charger, which obviously our 3-pin adapter plugged into, and then it is a standard mini USB charge cable. Then there is a case, which is quite large, quite chunky looking actually. So just have a bit more detail. Open that up. It has a belt clip as well as a press stud loop, belt loop, so you can actually permanently attach it to your belt or just clip it onto your waistband of your trousers if you want to do that. And it is magnetic catch and sort of leather effect. It's quite well made, but quite sturdy looking, quite large in your hand there. Obviously there's openings for cables and buttons and so on, but no, not a bad looking case if you like cases for your devices. We have a spare stylus, which we can see is telescopic. Also have a USB to mini USB sync charge cable, that's standard. And then we have the battery. And the battery, let's just open her up. The battery is actually quite large. It's a 1530 milliamp hour battery, so I think that's pretty much the standard for the Acer devices at the moment. But it's quite a large battery, and it certainly feels quite weighty, so you can install that in just a second. And then we have all the manuals and bits and pieces. So we have Windows 6.1 Professional Quick Guide. And we have our warranty. We then have a screen protector, all important. Then we have a CD with trial for Outlook 2007 and our user manual on CD-ROM, which is in multi-languages, so at least you've got the full manual, because you obviously notice that we only have a quick start guide rather than a full manual in print. So that's all the accessories and bits and pieces bundled with. Let's have a look at the handset itself. You can see it's quite a large handset. It's certainly very reminiscent of the Touch Pro 2, so it's interesting that Acer should release this pretty much on the back of the launch of the Touch Pro 2. Even very similar in styling in actual fact. Let's just peel off the screen protector on the front. We got a forward-facing VGA camera and a loudspeaker. Then we have a really generous 3.8-inch diagonal display, which is an 800 by 480 display, so WVGA. Then below that we have a series of keys, which are quite difficult to actually make out what's printed on them at the moment. Probably a bit more obvious when the phone's switched on and they actually illuminate. But we have the phone keys on either side, so answer and hang up keys. There is also a key in the centre, key in here, that is the sat-nav button, and then a home and a back button. In the middle we have what looks very much like a fingerprint reader. So there is some, we're assuming that we do have a fingerprint reading technology, so perhaps we'll find that out just in a moment when we have a look at the OS. If not, we'll have to wait for the review. On the top, nothing really to speak of, just mentions that we have built-in GPS. So there's a built-in GPS chipset, which is the Surface Star 3 chipset. On the left hand side we have the USB sync charge cable right at the top of the device rather than at the bottom. Placement is, well, appears to me to be somewhat awkward. at least when you have the sync charge cable on the bottom, you can have easy to use a cradle and dock it in a cradle or in your car or whatever else. Putting it on the side makes that a little bit more awkward. Also, there's no cover over that connector, but obviously that's just an initial sort of reaction to what I'm seeing here. Then there is a scroll wheel, which is a complete round rather than a spring loaded, so it will go round and round. That will help navigate through anything on the screen. Then we have the micro SD card socket below that with a cover, obviously, and that does support micro SDHC up to now listed as up to 32 gig. Nothing to speak of again on the bottom apart from the actual microphone and the stylus itself. So we've already seen the spare one, but this is the one that's in the handset itself. Telescopic, as you can see, but extremely thin and extremely lightweight. My main criticism, well, say one criticism of Acer and Eaton prior to that, is the quality of the stylus that they provide. It's just so lightweight and small. It looks like you're going to break it. Fortunately, don't use the stylus very much, certainly in the sort of newer versions of the OS. So we have a dedicated camera button, I have a reset button, we also have a little soft key there that's probably mappable or is going to be a menu sort of button. Have a look at the function of that later. Then we have the power button on the side too. On the back we have a 5 megapixel camera, which is nice to see actually a decent, or getting towards a higher megapixel camera on a Windows mobile device. I know some of the Symbian and other handsets are going to 8 and 12 megapixels, but we'll settle at 5 as long as it's pretty good, which we hope it will be. So that's an autofocus camera. It has a built-in flash. There is no mirror as such for self-portrait, but as you can see, this area here is extremely shiny, so you can probably achieve that with making your self-portraits. Right, to access the battery and to remove the back cover, we actually pull this tab down at the bottom, so this whole section at the bottom will move down, but this part doesn't remove, only the actual cover here that removes. So that pops off like so, this piece staying in place. SIM card goes here, and obviously our battery goes in the main cavity like so, and then we pop the back cover back on, it goes around that way like so, and then push that panel up at the bottom, which kind of secures it. And then if we power up, and we'll just power up. While we're powering up, let's have a look then at the keyboard. As you can see, we have a full QWERTY keyboard, fairly large size keys. They're a bit bigger physically than, say, that on the Touch Pro 2, but you will notice that there's only 4 rows of keys, so we don't have a dedicated row for numeric keys. Numeric keys are shift function over on this side of the QWERTY. So we have a function and shift, to get to the numeric numbers, obviously there. But the keys are quite well laid out. They're not completely flat. They actually are quite raised. They have a sort of angular raised surface there, if you like, which actually does make them feel quite tactile. They're good response to actually the key press. As you can see, the return key being quite large, like a normal sort of keyboard, and then the soft keys are actually placed on either end of the QWERTY. There is a function and caps lock LED indicator there. So not a bad size, quite generous. I mean, the handset itself is quite large. Notice it doesn't tilt like the Touch Pro 2 does, or the Titan 2. If you want to just have a quick comparison to the Titan 2 there, you can see it's a much larger handset. Screen and in every other way really. The keyboard itself is much larger and much more spaced out, and in actual fact there isn't a great deal of difference in weight. The M900 weighing about 10 grams more, about 180-ish, 185 grams for the M900 versus around 170-ish for the Titan 2. So let's just go through this on-screen setup, which we've done sort of hundreds of times before. And while I'm doing that, let me just tell you about the rest of the specification. I've obviously mentioned that there is a generous 3.8 inch display on the front, which is WVGA, which is 800 by 480, and that size does look really good. It's going to be exceptionally good when it comes to running, say, sat-nav and stuff like that in your car. We have a 533 megahertz processor, 128 meg of RAM, and 256 meg of ROM, so it will run I would imagine, pretty rapidly. We are quad band for GSM and tri-band for HSDPA and 3G, so pretty much going to work wherever you want to take it throughout the world. I've mentioned that there is built-in GPS, which is a Surfstar 3 chipset. 5 megapixel camera, as I say, already mentioned, LED illumination. Dimensions 119mm from top to bottom, 62mm wide, 17mm thick, which is actually on the chunkier side. But again, if I compare it to, say, something that you may be familiar with, like the Titan 2, you can see it's a bit longer, but not quite as chunky possibly. But though there's not much to choose between them. And in terms of width, it's slightly wider. Again, not a lot of difference between the two. So when we first turn on, we are presented with this install screen, as we were with the other Acer handsets that we looked at the other week. And we can choose which Acer custom applications we want to install. So we've got Acer Album, Name Card Manager, Backup Utility, Voice Commander, Satellite Data Update, and SIM Manager. I'm not going to install any of those right now because the handset itself, even without installing all those other custom apps, takes around 12 minutes to boot for the first time. So I will actually start and stop recording just now. I'm sure you don't want to see the progress bar move across the bottom of the screen for 12 minutes, so we'll just pause and come back when we've booted up. Okay, so as I mentioned, the initial boot up for the first time takes around 12-13 minutes. So once we actually pass that, we boot into the Acer home screen, which is very similar to the X960 that we saw a couple of weeks ago. We have this sort of desktop style arrangement, so we have messages, an email, calendar and appointments, and a date and time displayed on the screen here. We have a private folder, and then we have speed dial. Now we have obviously items in the start menu as well, and this bit down the bottom here, which looks for all the world like a fingerprint reader, actually does work like a navigation, like a D-pad in many respects. So you just slide our finger down. So kind of similar, I guess, to like a trackpad. Like a trackpad on a laptop, so we can actually just scroll through our items here, and if we actually just tap it, we can go into programs, and then we can scroll through our programs. Oops, I just popped into the calculator. As you can see, actually scrolling through, well, perhaps takes a bit of getting used to, because I managed to press it rather than I'm sort of just scrolling through, so I actually just wanted to scroll. So perhaps it'd be better for me to actually just use it on screen. So in terms of what we've got in here, fairly standard stuff, although Acer have obviously put in their own custom icons for some of these things, like utilities, multimedia, phone, Acer Shell, which obviously we just looked at. Google Maps pre-installed, which is pretty cool, so we can actually get it and use the GPS straight away rather than having to shell out for something like TomTom or Copilot. We have a zoom status, quick menu, quick launch, notifications manager. Those bits and pieces are there. Nothing terribly out of the ordinary. A couple of sort of customized, more custom apps, but nothing terribly exciting. And then we can actually go into the settings menu. The touchscreen itself does seem extremely sensitive, which is pretty good. Although it does feel a little bit soft. There's definitely a certain amount of bounce with the touchscreen, which you can actually feel. And I don't know if you can actually see sort of when I'm actually touching the screen on the camera there, but actually the screen itself does distort slightly as I press it, so it does feel a little soft, but perhaps that's why the touchscreen is that bit more sensitive through the softness of the screen. Obviously just commenting there. We do have a golden fingerprint reader. So we have the ability to set a password and obviously to enroll our fingerprints by finger. We're actually not going to do that just now. Comment on that when we actually come to do the review itself, and obviously how easy that is to use and so on. So that's in there, golden fingerprint reader and enrollment. In terms of system, again, pretty standard looking stuff. We've got a finger navigator, so we'll probably change the settings in there for the finger navigator on the bottom. There we go. So it works like a rocker, a D-pad, a touch stick. We'll have our sensitivity, work it like a mouse or a joystick. So we have different settings for it now. It's currently set to rocker, so perhaps that's why I was struggling with it somewhat. We have external GPS. We have a gravity sensor, which is quite cool. So see, we can change the settings for the gravity sensor. So we can turn the gravity sensor on for our screen alignment just there. We turn it off. It doesn't seem to work sort of just in the main OS there and in the menus. So perhaps that only relates to our web browser and email. Again, comment on that when we come to do the review. And then we've got power, task manager, touch control, you know, pretty standard stuff. And then connections, again we have pretty standard stuff. We have a comm manager, connection manager, USB to PC and Wi-Fi, going to comm manager. And then we see what Acer's interpretation perhaps of the very nice comm manager HTC implement, but a very similar thing. We can turn the phone on off, the data connection on off, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth and flight mode, all with nice large simple buttons. And we come back out of that, and then we have our dialer there that you can see, and we're fairly touch sensitive when it comes to actually dialing a number, not too bad. Notice it's actually putting in hyphens between the numbers. So in actual fact there it's assuming an American number format. I'm sure perhaps that we could change that to a UK or other regional sort of number format, but as I'm dialing in there it is assuming American style telephone numbers. We can come back out of there. As I say, you've got the standard shell there. We have speed dials that we can get to beyond that. We can put in commonly used common contacts there, so we can just touch on their name and their photo and actually just obviously dial them straight away. Have a task manager up the side which shows you bits and pieces that are running there. We can just close that off, and then we can swipe across, and then we have music. We have photos and we have contacts there. Swipe again. We have our programs and calculator. Is that now by the looks of it, or is that? Oh no, these are our internet-based applications. So we have a favourite there, which is Explore Windows Mobile. We've got Google Search, Windows Live, Windows Mobile, X something, WindowsMedia.com, and YouTube already pre-populated in there. Space for another one there at the bottom, as you can see. We go back. And we've also got comm manager, sound profiles, backlight, a soft key, and unload Acer shell. And then swipe again. And that's it. That's as far to the right as we can go. And we go back to the left. So okay, we've got 3 panels there with different things on there that represents our desktop. So that's pretty cool. And then say we've got the private folder at the bottom. Which I can create, which I won't do just now. So we'll talk about the OS in a bit more detail when it comes to do the full review, which we'll have for you in the next couple of weeks on tracymac.co.uk. But if you're a fan of the unboxing videos, check out the rest at unboxings.com, and we'll be back shortly with that review.